I was going to say, look at Secretariat, the racehorse. He had a heart that was 1.5 times larger than any other horses. And they have line bred, inbred, crossbred him all up and down. And they have not been able to replicate that gene that made him great. That the extra heart, that size, they haven't done it. You said it. Genes also occur in pairs. So what's the likelihood
And,
of your ability to
right.
have mutation? So for you to, that you gave a good example of a hard gene versus soft gene. And dogs have soft genes not only because domestication and their history with humans. They are a tool. They are a bioengineered
Yeah, they're a
tool.
product of the environment, so they're constantly shaped. If man never interfered with dogs, the
They've always been.
Cimarron Uruguayo is a perfect example. You know what I mean? Of how man had some dog breeds, took them somewhere else, and then left them. And then the dog
Yeah.
started doing the thing on its own. But if you were to
They
just
start.
to have left Canis familiar on its own, it would have adapted like the New Guinea singing dog, the dingo. We would,
It's
coyote. You would see more of those in other places where you don't see them. But man, like, hey, I'm gonna take this home with me, and I'm gonna start doing this, that, and the other. Also, one good thing though, here's the thing. Everything has its ups and downs. Like soft genes are soft. That's the down part about it, because you can lose it if you don't know how to keep or write a correct program. But because of that, because the genes are because the genes are soft, you don't necessarily have to worry about a lot of health issues outside of things that are already attributed to canines. With the reptiles, the only thing that they can do is really changing the color is not a good thing. It's actually a mutation, and it's actually unhealthy. Like albinism is not healthy. That means you have a lack of calcium. That's one reason. You have a lack of calcium in your diet. That's not healthy. So when they're selling you these mutated animals for high dollar, they're selling you a $10,000 animal that's inherently sick. And that's the downfall of that. That's why I don't own any morphs. Like the only time you'll see me with like a morphed animal, because you have some animals that have been here with us, like ball pythons, red-tailed boas, leopard geckos. Our environment, they have been with us in our environment for so many decades that, that animal, those are the most mutated of all the reptiles that you can find right now, because they've been with us in our environment, under our care, under our breeding programs for so long.
So here's a question, and it may be a false equivalency, and this is where I lean into your understanding. One thing that I've noticed in crossbred dogs, you breed anything to a pit bull, those bull and terrier genes tend to dominate. Would you say that bull and terrier genes are harder than the majority of other breed types? Do you get the
Oh no! I was gonna say, I'm glad you said that, because I was gonna ask you something similar. I mean, it is a solidified or fortified hybrid dog. You can't call it a hybrid anymore, but it did come from, it was not a hybrid, but cross pollination. Let's not say hybrid. I would say not like Spitz level, but I would say, yeah, they have been around with us enough to definitely, when you do breed them to certain breeds, you definitely can tell, like, that dog's got some pit bull in it, or that dog's got some English bulldog, or that dog's got this, or that dog's got that. Definitely bulldog, for sure. But yeah, I mean, because I've seen pit bulls probably cross with just about everything. And I would say 80% of them, I was like, that dog's got some pit bull.
Physically, you can see it, and I think that has to do with, as you were saying, it's a breed type that has been refined for a very long time. And when those genes are kind of locked in, families locked in, it tends to dominate. I'm just assuming it's harder than other breed types. And you brought up a good point. Spitz types harder than other breed types. And you said it earlier. If you left dogs to their own devices outside, they'd all start looking like dingoes and New Guinea singing dogs and Shiba
Right.
Inus, because that is the time. That is what nature selects. You go out the country. All those stray dogs tend to start to look, that 35-pound
Right.
range, curl tail, long snout,
Well, right.
upright
Even when you go
ears.
out, yeah, when you go out of the
So
country, island dogs have a type. Them island mutts, the dog, and then that type even varies from the West Indian islands to the Asian islands, and then the mainland dogs are a little bit different, and you know what I mean. So yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like, okay, Gatekeeper One said like Dogo Argentino and Black Russian Terrier were experiments. That makes me think of the Russian Fox Farm project, where they took those
yeah,
foxes, those black foxes, and then on the first breeding, they already
yeah,
started shifting on the environment. The environment. That's like that's why like this conversation was so important, because I don't give a fuck what breed you have, how much money you have, how much land, this, that, and the other, how much you say you know, how much you think you know. If you can't create that environment, if you can't go there, bring your dog to it, bring it to you on a I'm 80% of the time, then I just don't I feel like at this point in the game, the way things are coming down on animals with legislation is that you gotta kind of start weeding these motherfuckers out for real. Like because if you don't, I mean, well, think about this. Think about backtracking on the pit bull. I mean, that dog has had a witch hunt on it for the longest. Now I don't hear so much about it anymore. But 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, now a lot of the stuff that happens, they're not even pit bulls a lot of the times. But that dog growing up in the 80s and 90s, anywhere in the world, you were hearing about pit bulls. Mm-hmm. And that dog was synonymous to brindle dog. Like, if you saw people automatically in those decades, you see a brindle dog, and they automatically were like, that dog's a pit bull. You know what I mean? Because, and majority of the dogs that you were seeing, even in the movie, were brindle dogs. So that environment and the culture then, and so legislation and the media went on a witch hunt on that dog. You know what I mean? And we all saw it to the point where they made it so bad in some states where it was no point of owning the dog.